Hi everyone, welcome to today's lesson. So at this point, you should have a good sense of the scenes you're going to use for Romeo and Juliet, kind of what you're looking at in it. So today, before we start doing some writing, we're going to take a look at what does writing a critique look like? What kind of things should we be considering in that final writing piece? So first, I just want to talk about what makes a good review or critique. One thing I came across says the best reviews are passionate and personal. They offer a rich narrative, a wealth of detail, and a helpful tip or two for other viewers. Think about your recent experience watching a movie. Could you put details in there that would help future watchers like you? So the idea is that it's not meant to be objective. It's your opinion. Make sure that your opinion is visible, that like you have some kind of feeling about the thing that you are critiquing. So we're going to use some examples. If you go into today's assignment, there are 3 different videos there of an expert critiquing their craft in a movie. So there's a video of a rock climbing expert critiquing how rock climbing is filmed in different movies, a skateboarding expert critiquing how skateboarding is filmed in different movies, and a computer hacker critiquing how computer hacking is filmed in different movies. So you're going to choose one of those, go watch the first 5 minutes of it, and share out 3 critiques that you saw in that video. So that'll be one of the questions in the assignment. But as you're doing that, keep in mind, like, you're obviously not going to do a video version of it. You're going to do writing, but their critiques are good examples of, okay, I'm watching this and I'm critiquing specific aspects of a scene or things they're doing well or things they're doing poorly. So keep that in mind as you're watching. And then we're going to think about, once you have to turn that into writing, what should that look like? And we're going to kind of try to do 3 things. We're going to start out with giving some background. I'm not just going to jump right into my scenes. So it can be about background about the movie, background about the scene. You guys can just talk, like, you'll be writing yours about Romeo and Juliet, so you can give some background about the play and maybe which scenes you chose. And then you're going to go into those critiques. So you're critiquing those scenes that you chose, those aspects that we've looked at a little bit, and then you kind of want to give your overall thoughts on whether it's that version of the movie or the 2 versions together, however you want to kind of like give it a score, give it your final thoughts on it. So that first part, the background or intro. So what do you want the audience to know before they go and read your scene? Like if I am doing the scene where Romeo dies at the end, my reader might not have seen it yet, so I might want to say this is going to have spoilers in it. Don't watch this or read this if you don't want spoilers. Something along those lines, are just saying like which scene it is or where it comes in the play. And then also like kind of prepare your reader. Like I'm going to show you 2, one from a version that's really poorly done and one from a version that's really well done. So kind of prep them for what they're going to be experiencing. You'll do that in your writing, not necessarily in speaking, like those videos that we did watch. So in example, I'll use Avengers. Don't worry, there's no spoilers here if you haven't seen the newest Avengers. Words cannot fully express how utterly astounding Alan Silvestri's work for Avengers Endgame is, but I'll do my best. Avengers Endgame as a movie is just something else. It's a fantastic conclusion to a 10-year-long saga, and I pretty much love every minute of it. Don't worry though, that's all I'll say about the movie itself, though please bear in mind that spoilers will likely follow in the review, as music always says a lot about what's happening alongside it. So this person's talking about the soundtrack that goes along with Avengers. They have a very specific critique, just like you guys will have in yours. So the next part is picking those scenes and aspects of the scenes to critique. So you're obviously going to use all that planning that you did. You're going to discuss those dramatic, theatrical, and cinematic aspects. And then I would say make sure that you break each of your scenes into its own paragraph or its own part of the writing that you do, just because you're going to be looking at them separately and you kind of plan for them separately. But I'm going to give you some examples of critiquing an aspect of scenes. This one is from Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, and again, I tried not to do too much spoiling in the pieces that I found. This one says, perhaps the best in-movie self-criticism is in the fact that Kylo Ren rebuilds his destroyed mask. Some fans of the series believe that The Last Jedi destroyed their favorite franchise, and here's J.J. Abrams literally picking up the broken pieces and putting them back together. And yet, as he's told, you can still see the cracks. Meant as a criticism of Kylo's uncertainty, but reflective of the movie too. Sometimes you can't just put things back together and revisit history in a way that doesn't feel craven and desperate. People will see the crack. So this one was cool because they took a specific scene, looked at some parts of it, but then gave it some deeper meaning. You don't necessarily need to go there with yours, but that was one good example. I'll do one more from the movie Black Panther. Part of the movie's pleasure and its ethos, which wends through its visuals, is how it dispenses with familiar either or divides, including the binary opposition that tends to shape our discourse on race. Life in Wakanda is at once urban and rural, futuristic and traditional, technological and mystical. Spaceships zoom over soaring buildings with thatched tops. A hover train zips over a market with hanging woven baskets. In one of the most striking locales, an open-air throne room is horizontally lined with suspended tree limbs, creating a loose pattern that pointedly blurs the divide between the interior and exterior worlds and is echoed by the fretwork and costumes and other sets. So they kind of focused on the dramatic theatrical side where they're talking about the setting, like how is everything set up, and in the rest of this longer review, it kind of weaves into the plot parts, but again, picking a specific part and kind of focusing in on that is what they're doing here. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to go find your own review, take a look at it and see what things you thought they did well. So there's a lot of places you can go. You can go to Amazon Reviews, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, Metacritic, or you can really just hop into Google and type in whatever movie title you want to be looking for and the word review. So I would say pick a favorite movie that you know well or a movie that you've seen recently, read through that review, and then you're going to share out in the assignment what are some things you saw doing well there. So again, today we're just going to be looking at what are some examples of good reviews, what are in good reviews, and then next week we'll do some thinking about, okay, how am I actually going to write my own review?